Spanish GP. Ah, yes. Home of Fernando Alonso and the great Carlos Sainz. Or shall I say the great Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz? Welcome to Bwoah Racing League season number 6. Today we are here at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Or is it Circuit de Catalunya, Barcelona, Satek? Correct me, because it's two words and I don't know which one's the right one.
I believe it is the latter, Darwin. And yeah, as you said, the great Carlos Sainz, you might have just tipped off some of the Fernando Alonso fans out there. But regardless, I think as Formula One proceeds to grow year on year, Fernando Alonso would end up meeting his match on Spanish turf with Carlos Sainz, or maybe just both. Regardless, we got 7 drivers out on track. Not the populated grid we had hoped for, but it is a Spanish GP. Thoughts on the track?
I love the track. I might have said it a million times by now in Bwoah Racing League, but this is the track that got me first into sim racing back when I was in uni and all that. There was some guy setting up his Rego in the corner, and then we're like, let's try this out. And the next thing you know, I'm on the F1 2015 games, and here we are 6 years forward in F1 22. So yes, I love Barcelona. I love this track. I know a lot of people don't like it because it's so technical and high speed and easy to spin pretty much everywhere. But yeah, I love it. That's all I can say.
And yeah, as I said, 8 drivers out on track, coming out real quick as well. 2 of them intermediates. So filling in with UK's strategies to some extent. And I just saw Streeter go onto the grass on the intermediates. Green on green, Davin. What would you do in terms of lap times? I'd love to hear. What's your best lap time around Spain?
If I can remember, I think it was a 17.2 in the qualifying that I did just a few months ago. I might be wrong, but could be 17.2. Let's see. It was a 0.2 somewhere. I hope it's not a 15 or 16.2, which is an esports level time.
And yet, I'm surprised Envy's closest rivals haven't showed up today. It's kind of disappointing, and of course, no 10 drivers is kind of a bummer as well. Regardless, some top names are the likes of Big Man Joe Gouts, Envy, as well as Levi Tiger Pants, who might just catch a break today. Qualifying goes his way time and time again, but not the race itself. Somehow, the race it just turns the wrong way for Levi, and much for Streeter, who I'm riding on board right now. On a fast lap, first fast lap, and on the intermediates, is he just doing that for fun?
Pretty sure he is laying down some rubber, possibly saving a set of softs for the race later on. I don't know, there might be some forecasts suggesting there's a bit of rain on the way, so possibly saving that soft ice maybe towards the end of the race or early of the race, depending on when the rain is coming and how long the dry stint is gonna be. So always a good plan to keep a set of fresh tires there. And well, weather here can be unpredictable. It could be dry, could be wet at the moment, and it looks like qualifying is still dry. I hope nothing changes in the next 15 minutes or so.
And Sector 1 lights up yellow for a brief moment. I'd imagine that is one of the cars moving slow, but a bunch of them out there on fast laps of their own. I believe Gouts is closely watching the moves of Big Man Joe, so it'll be interesting to see how that fight pans out as well. Sick Nick, someone who's had a series of not the greatest races, as all sectors light up purple for Envy to set the fastest lap, 1 minute 17.544.
Wonderful lap indeed. I was on board with him, not a single mistake, possibly not attacking all the apexes just yet, but championship leader puts it on P1 for now. Gouts a full second behind for now, not bad for a first one. Levi Tiger Pants says I'll take the P1 for now, goes 17.3 already. Will we see anyone break into the 16s today, Satek?
Can do it. It's Envy and Levi. As it stands, God still has a lot of catching up to do. Sick Nick, I'm surprised lap time's coming through. Final corner across the line, and lap time on the board gives him third fastest. Trumps Gouts to pick up that second row start.
Yep.
For now, provisional second row start.
Yeah, and next to come across the line is Kiwarabi going through the end of Sector 3. This is where the track gets very twisty, very slow, and a little bit unpredictable on the exit here. You want to avoid that long yellow sausage curve on the exit. Keep the car tight on the exit, let it run wide across the line. He'll set a P5. Third row of the grid for now. Big Manager and Streeter, I don't see any lap times from them yet. Presumably because of that, well, laying down the rubber tactics. But here comes Big Manjo out of the pits on the soft tires finally.
I'll just be AFK for 2 minutes or so. Meanwhile, folks, make sure you drop in the chat. Who do you think is going to come out on top of this qualifying session? Levi is the man to beat. Envy is close behind. Still a lap time to come out of Big Man Joe and Streeter.
Yeah, not a bad set of first runs there. Levi Tiger Pants taking the P1 for now. Provisional pole 17.3. With 2 more runs left to go, 2 or 3 depending on what time you're running out there. Big Man Joe most likely will be starting his lap time now anytime soon as he comes across the end of Sector 2. Yeah, he's just on his out lap. My bad there. Now let's watch on board with Big Man Joe, the only guy out on track who's about to set a lap time. Streeter up ahead. Will he move out of the way? It looks like he might just in time. Streeter, you better get out of the way. A big angry man is coming on your way, and there you go. Streeter keeps it out of the way just nicely. Big Man Joe has a little snap there as you saw into turn 3. The car tends to do that in that corner. Turn 3, turn 4 here. Purple sector 1, not bad at all, not bad at all. And here you go into turn 5, downhill. You have turn in early and then on the power on the exit. Turn 6 is just a kink. Turn 7 and 8, again you want to avoid the inside sausage curbs, let the car run wide. Turn 9, tricky one as well, takes the curb on the entry to open up the exit here. DRS wide open, now coming down into turn 10, which is the modified section in this year's layout. Keeps it tight on the entry and let it run wide on the exit, and then you're back onto the old part of the circuit. Few more corners to go. 13, 14 and 15, there's a chicane coming out. How do you nail this? Oh, missed the apex just by a smidge. Gets a good exit and then run it down to the line. Big Man Joe, DRS wide open across the line. He comes to take P3. Wow, okay, so the Alfa Romeo boys are showing some serious pace once again out on track. Big Man Joe with 3 tenths, almost 4 tenths off pole with 17.8 there. Not shabby at all. Second row of the grid for him.
Yeah, getting into the groove, the Alfa Romeo boys, and pity that Envy doesn't quite have a teammate, good enough to clearly catch up to the pack, and even not present for races. A bit disappointing, but the Alfa Romeo boys are out there, the Haas boys are out there. Those are the 2 teams who've shown up for 4 of the drivers who will be lining up on the grid soon enough. We got under 9.5 minutes or so left time in this qualifying session, and Street is the only one who's had a lap time who has invalidated his lap time as well, so he's going to take a while before he starts another one. Levi's time holds well for the fastest time, and I see a spinning Ferrari, and that's in sector 1, and I believe it is
That is honing. Yep, so he recovers well back onto the track, so no issues there. Just in time for the arrival of Signic, who is currently at turn 2, about to take turn 3. Let's see if he manages to not spin around here. Very tricky this turn 3. Sometimes you can take it tight on the entry and let it run wide, but track limits is there to grid you. Or you can be wide on the entry and possibly risk the car spinning in the middle of the corner here. Down to turn 5 once again. Looks like the car's pre-planted here, not taking the entire exit curve over there. Signic being a little bit careful. 8 tenths off the pace so far. P5 into the middle of sector 2. Now here comes turn 9. Can make or break your lap time, and he keeps it just within track limits.
Was that a purple sector 1 I spotted out of Sicknig? I'm surprised he's putting times like that. I think maybe this is redemption race for him. Will we see him in the top 3? We see Gouts trumping a big man Joe for that second row spot. Already provisional P3 for him. We still got 8 minutes left into this qualifying. Not seen a lap time out of Streeter just yet. I believe Kuberabi could be another one of those drivers to improve his lap time, but across the line comes Sicknig. How quickly does he pass? Oh,
Tenth
he
and a
stays
half
fifth
up,
fastest.
stays fifth. Indeed. I think Sector 3 was a little bit poor by my standards. Just a little bit of criticism for my student over there. But anyway, back on to the action. Are in front. Streeter comes around for his flying lap, who did invalidate his first attempt. Now across the line, will set his first lap time. What is it gonna be? Only P7. I'm guessing the tires might have given up by that point. Levi Tiger Pants now next to start his lap time.
What a change in Horning's performance if you think about last season and the season before. He was, gunning for the top 5. Excuse me.
Well, anyway, while Satik's having a little cough over there, and we can ride on board with Levi Tiger Pants, who currently holds the provisional pole position with about 7 minutes to go in the session. Into Sector 1, doesn't seem too shabby, and 7 and 8, how much you want to push? Okay, looks like he's just managing to keep it on track so far. Turn 9, once again, runs it wider than Signet did, and coming down into turn 10, what's Delta gonna be? He's barely up, just over half a tenth up. And into Sector 3, this is where you can make up a lot of time on the braking and acceleration. Let's just ride on board with Levi Tiger Pants. Throws the car into the corners. That's some commitment there. And across the line, it's gonna be a 17.3, only 12 thousandths quicker than his personal best. That shows you, I don't think that's much left in the tank for him. Although he might want to tidy up a corner or two, and he might just find himself inching ever so closer to that magical 116. Next, across Big Man Joe, his teammate. 17.5? No? Starts a new lap. Okay, my bad there.
Yeah, I'd imagine the best is yet to come from Big Man Joe. And of course, Gouts will be looking closely at that. He comes out on an outlap as well. So he's clearly on Big Man Joe's tail. Wants to trump him throughout the session and even in the race, as you'd expect.
2.5 tenths up. Big Man Joe, 2.5 tenths up. So that's a good amount of time. Puts him close enough for P2. And Alfa Romeo 1-2 on the board. Serve us up today.
Just might. The other team, however, are sitting in P5, P6 respectively, sitting in Kuberabi. Right now,
oh no, Big Man Joe!
Big Man Joe!
Oh, that was a little too quick to say from me. Might have jinxed his P2 there, but luckily for him, he has 5 minutes before this session ends. So one more qualifying run is all he needs to nail this.
Yeah, he's got a good amount of time left, so that should be good. And of course, Gouts is still ahead of him. He'll be on a fast lap of his own as well. Soon enough, he's coming around the final corner. And will be starting a fast lap of his own, if not the one that he's wrapping up, but definitely one to start. Big Man Joe as well. He's gone into the pits. Envy comes out. Let's see how Gouts does then. We can ride on both Gouts.
I'm surprised Gouts is not pushing. His ERS is turned off, so I wonder if he's just going out on a stroll here on used set of tires. That would be interesting to save a set. Given he's in P3, that's a healthy position to be in right off the bat.
Surely enough, 5 tenths down on Sector 1. Clearly just jogging about out on track with his car. Horning hasn't been able to set a lap time at all. He's been spinning consecutively in the same sector. Sector 2, he just can't nail that one, can he? And maybe in the absence of Dub, He's unable to step up as well. So unfortunate for Horning. Wish we could see more of what we saw last season from him, which I was mentioning before I got a horrid cough. But yeah, Levi Type Pants, his time so solid. Probably the first time Envy has taken so long to beat a competitor in qualifying session at
Well,
least.
we're about to find out shortly, and well, I thought he was gonna set a lap time, and we just about crosses the line to start his lap time instead. Well, the one guy who is about to cross the line is Gouts, but you know, as we know, he's on a cool-ish lap, and I wonder if he forgot to turn on his battery halfway through the lap. Sarthak, would that have been the case?
Might have been.
Right, one more guy's across the line. Sicknick, only 16. Not 16, that's 18. That's 18. Oh, looks like he got 18-1. Manages to not improve, and he's down still about a tenth from his personal best. So not much left from him. Kubarabi across the line. Not much from him as well. He's just starting his lap. So a lot of drivers now already on their final laps. Let's run about with Envy, who's probably the first one to set a lap time. He has abandoned his lap time. Okay. That's weird. I wonder if he had messed up somewhere along the corner. Streeter, because he had to set a competitive time by his standards. It's up by a full tenth into the end of sector 1, and come into sector 2. He's up about 3 tenths. He has about 9 tenths more to find in this middle sector if he wants to be anywhere close to the front row.
Yeah, I mean, even Streeter for that matter, we've seen him at a much higher level in terms of qualifying as well as race pace. Hopefully we get to see that. He comes around the final corner once again. Fast lap time 1 minute 17.365. That's the time to beat. Can Streeter get closer? No, he will not. He'll start another fast lap, but he still seems to be going incredibly slow.
Yeah, not the best of attempts. Gouts now coming across the line with his I'll say DRS and battery activated. No, that's another slow lap from Gouts. So I wonder what's happening out there. Is he just going on a race pace simulation or something? Maybe that might be the case, but he's comfortably in P3. Not unless Big Man Joe has a say across the line. 17.5. Now he's about to start his final lap. Oh, once again, 3 times in a row, Big Man Joe has got the best of me today.
Of course. But yeah, I think this one's gonna be the one, Dalvin. If it's anyone, it's got to be this one, considering it is arguably the last lap he'll be able to set. Levi Tiger Pants, I believe, has started a fast lap of his own as well. He just got through turn 1 as we speak. Ahead, Streeter's trying to make an attempt of his own. Envy's circling around the final corner to set the fast lap so far, and it's better than his last one, but it's not the quickest out there.
Indeed, close enough but not fast enough there. Streeter now next to cross the line. What can he do now? 8 tenths off in the previous attempt, running out of battery across the line. He is not going to improve. 1 tenth down on his best. Gouts next to cross the line. Will this be his lap time that he will like to be competitive on? No, he's just strolling around. Alright, and we move on to Kibarabi now. The other half into the pits he goes.
Yeah, 8 hundredths down on sector 2, and a bit of a twitch out of the penultimate corner for Big Man Joe. Out the final corner, can he trump Gouts? Can he start ahead of his closest competitor in the driver's title fight? No, he will not. He will remain P4, and so will Envy, which means regardless of that lap time coming through from Levi now as he circles the final corner across the line, can he trump his own lap time? Levi Tiger Pants, yes, he will.
Oh, he does it. He does it.
Yeah, to take pole position out in the Smash GP of Season 6. My oh my, Levi really has stepped up in qualifying session. He's actually proficient in. Hopefully we get to see his best in the race as well. No fumbles as he did in Monaco and the races before.
Yes, 17.04 and a half tenths quicker than the next person on track, that being Envy. So, well, maybe Envy didn't show up in qualifying today. Maybe Levi is just all fired up today, and we are about to see him perform in the race. Will this be the race, like Sarthak said? Will this be the race where Levi Tiger Pants finally gets a bit of luck on his side to show off the pace that he has had all this while? Few more minutes before the kickoff. Not kickoff. FIFA is getting to me. Football season, football fever. Excuse me there. Few more moments before 5 lights are out, and we see some interesting tie choices here. Well, by interesting, I say Gouts being the only one on hearts right now, and Horning soon follows suit.
Yeah, I think the podium positions will be a bit more, let's say, longed for by these drivers, given it's an 8 car grid today. Levi and Envy arguably might just lock up 1 and 2 at the end of this race, but who knows? Even with 8 drivers out on track, we've seen safety cars before. So yeah, that last podium position is looking real good for the likes of Siknik, Kuberabi, Guts, Big Man Joe, and even Streeter and Horning. Let's not discount them at any capacity. I mean, 8 drivers out on grid, anything's possible.
Indeed, like we saw previously in the previous week in Monaco. Well, at one point it didn't look like the Alfa Romeos were going to finish 3 and 4, and somehow from being at the back of the grid in the middle of the race, they ended up 3 and 4. So never too late to turn your fates around. Throw in a bit of luck, a mishap from your rivals out on track, and there you go. Podium might be yours. The win might be yours, given the number of drivers we have out on track today. 8 drivers all getting ready. I'm assuming there's a bit of weather on the way or something, because it's taking quite a bit of time for the drivers to choose their tires. It's not that hard. And there we go. Countdown has begun.
Pretty sure they disagree. You never know who finds what hard, apart from the hard tires. Probably a sad joke there, but not as sad as the population out there on the grid.
Well, it's hard to judge if that joke is bad, but let's let it slide. And hopefully the drivers can slide just nice enough in turn 1 and to avoid some contact in formation lap. Sarthak, your favorite lap.
Yeah, I made a joke though, Davin. I don't know if you heard. Slide like the soft. Yeah, no. Anyway, Alfa Romeo on pole position with the next Alfa Romeo down in on the second row, so not too down under, if you might. I think Streeter will be on a charge. As always, we've seen him qualify at the back of the pack multiple times, even in a 15, 16-man grid. And he's made his way all the way up to P4, P5 at the very least, podium more often than not. So I'd like to see that. Funnily enough, Streeter and RB Ferrero have a lot of similarities that way. And yeah, Gouts and Big Man find themselves in different positions today because they usually enjoy starting in the midfield, stay away from the chaos, and have a nice clean race till the very end. Good haul of points for the constructors title, where mainly their focus is. But this time around, Big Man Joe, Gouts, they are fighting in the front. A fumble from Envy and Levi, which means they are fighting for the race lead. So I'd reckon Siknig is in a position where he plays the role of Gouts and Big Man Joe today. So it's interesting, regardless of having an 8-man grid out there today. I'm looking forward to this one.
Indeed, and what's going to make it even more interesting for the Haas members, they are both on the medium tires, as well as Levi Tiger Pants. So the 3 drivers are on track on medium tires. They're going to have a cracking lap or 2 at the start, and that's going to hopefully pull them away from the grid if you're Levi. And if you're the Haas pair, you want to be making up a lot of positions at the start. The rest of the grid on hard tires, looking to go long, and split strategies coming in already.
Okay then, Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin, McLaren and Alfa Romeo to lock up the front 2 rows, and the Haas lock up row number 3 with row number 4 with an Alpine and a Ferrari. There's 4 rows out there today, folks. A rather quiet grid, you could say, and hopefully you see all 8 drivers cross the finish line at the end of the 33 laps at Spain. And with the 5 lights are out, and away we go. Who's got the jump at the start? A bit of wheel spin coming from the Alfa Romeo. Levi Tiger Pants holds on to the lead. Somehow Gouts is tumbling down the order. A fumble start by him, and so does Big Man Joe. Siknig has capitalized on this and is up in a P3 already. Into turn 1, wheel to wheel goes Siknig, and Big Man Joe gets the benefit of that, and the Alfa Romeo goes right back up in a P3.
Yeah, good start there from Big Man Joe, and to make up the position now, sandwiching Envy between him and his teammate. Good start as well from Levi. I think he fumbled a little bit on the initial getaway, but manages to keep ahead of the corner into turn 2 and 3. Now finally showing the prowess of that soft tires, the medium tires, and pulling almost second of a gap already to Envy.
Yeah, fumbles by Seknig almost went completely wide and into the back of Big Man Joe. He's losing time by the looks of it. I wouldn't be surprised if Rabi makes the move on Seknig soon enough. But huge gaps being pulled off in lap number 1 already. Levi's pulled away over a second's gap. And Seknig is still within 3/10 of Big Man Joe. A whole DRS train of sorts from P3 down to P8.
Yeah, crucial now for Seknig and Rabi to get past Big Man Joe and up into the podium position and play their cards from there on. Look at how close they are on those medium tires on the rear of Big Man Joe. Levi Tiger Pants starts lap number 2. Seknig already on the charger. Big Man Joe knows what's coming. He's not defending too hard. He's playing the long game. Seknig up into P3 right now.
Can he keep it? Can he keep it? This was a similar position he was in at the start of this race. We saw him make the jump on Big Man Joe, but quickly lost it to Big Man Joe. Come the next corner, I reckon he is guarded sealed this time around. But again, a fumble, and you're sending it wide is not going to help your cause. You see him do it time and time again. For Seknig and Rabi, how close is he to make the pass on Big Man Joe? Because the Haas's need to make their way up and closer to Levi in the initial parts of this race.
Yeah, it's these parts where towards the second half of the lap where the medium tires are making all the gains. Seknig already within a second of Envy, so that's interesting to see how it pans out in lap 2. Levi Tiger Pants has pulled out another second gap to P2.
Yeah, the more I look at it, it seems like Gouts isn't feeling his best on the Haas. He is somehow holding on to that seconds gap to Rabi, but with Rabi charging down and beating down Big Man Joe's gearbox soon enough, hopefully, you'd think that Gus needs to catch up even more. But right now, it's still lap number 2, still early times in this race. We got a 1 minute 21.085 from Levi Tiger Pants to set the fastest lap of the session. And we got Rabi closing in as much as he can on Big Man Joe, but failing to do so.
He's going for it. Oh, for one moment, he thought about diving down the inside. No DRS to help him with that overtake, and thankfully Seknig is already more than a second ahead of Big Man Joe, so that should assist Rabi to make the overtake come the next lap. Seknig meanwhile finds himself in a healthy P3 within a second of Envy, the championship leader. What a battle this is.
He's closing about 2/10 in a lap. If he can keep that going, come lap number 6 or so, or 5, he should be able to make the pass on Envy. But then, of course, his tires are going to start falling off as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm surprised how Rabi isn't pushing as hard as you'd think he'd be. Or maybe he is and he's just not able to find the time around this track.
Or it might just be the hearts are finally in the operating window. As you can see, Seknig not really pulling in the gap, and we're starting to pull a bit of the gap back in sector 3 here, where you would not expect the hearts to lose space. And yeah, suddenly we find ourselves in a bit of a predicament here. The Haas team not being able to make as much progress as they want. Rabi second time around, now DRS widely activated, a bit of battery left in the reserve. Big Man Joe is quite a bit ahead. It's not going to be challenged.
Yeah, same with Gouts. He gets within half a second at best of Rabi, which is quite commendable considering the difference in tires. But as you said, odds are in the working window, have entered the working window. That gap between Levi and Envy is now going over 3 seconds, will soon enough go over 3 seconds or so. You can see that gap between Seknig and Big Man Joe as well, developing to be 1.5 seconds. I'm still surprised how Seknig didn't play the team game and back up Big Man Joe into Rabi early on, right after the pass he made. But regardless, I think Rabi will be able to pick out Big Man Joe in a lap or 2.
Yeah, it's just 3 laps into the race. Lap number 4, here we are. Now Rabi, Gouts, Streeter, everyone in the DRS train led by Big Man Joe himself. Hard tires for Big Man Joe, keeping him quite good, quite steady out on track for now. Looks like they are finally up into the proper working range. Rabi, I think he's just biding his time. There's a bit of a yellow flag back At the back, that is Honing is going a little bit slow into sector 3. Back to the action up in front. Kubarabi finds himself super close on the exit out of the last corner here. 3/10 is the gap between him and Big Manjo up in front. DRS will be wide open. Kubarabi, he's coming, he's sending it. Both are defending, they're going hard for it. Can Kubarabi send it? Yeah, it's ready all along the inside. Gets the corner and up into P4 he goes.
Yeah, but Big Manjo crucially is keeping that gap within half a second because he knows being threatened for position by Gauts will mean more than just track position. And right now, he's doing a pretty good job at it. Kubarabi somehow isn't able to pull off a gap just yet. 3/10, 4/10 or so, but it's still within attacking distance for Big Manjo. He could possibly make the jump come the next lap if everything falls into his favor. A fumble by Kubarabi would be crucial for that. Right now, it seems like the medium runners have gotten into groove, but not good enough to close in on the lead runner on the mediums, Levi Tiger Pants.
Yeah, his gap is extending even more and more. Oh, as we speak about fumbles and all that, Kubarabi, the third sector is going to be his for the taking to extend the gap. He's lost it a bit on the middle there, and now Big Manjo suddenly finds himself within half a second of Kubarabi on the exit of the last corner here, but gets a good exit. Kubarabi, I think he's going to be able to defend this. Big Manjo, is he going to attack? It's quite a way back here, a bit of DRS, a bit of slipstream, no usage of battery, and Big Manjo doesn't want to go for it just yet. He's patiently waiting for an opportunity at the right time.
Yeah, I think he's mindful about the fact that Gauts is real close behind, patiently just watching this Alfa Romeo as well as Haas in some sense battle it out ahead of him and waiting for that perfect moment. What could have been for Gauts if he had gotten a great start off the line. Right now he seems like he is moderately happy, I'd like to think, being behind his closest competitor in the drivers title fight. And Streeter closing in though. He's made up half a second in the last couple of corners on Gauts.
Yeah, looks like he'll start to just look at this. He has a full battery charged up, and he might just launch an attack on Streeter. Streeter might just launch an attack on Gauts. Like you said, he has closed up. He's within 3/10 now, 3.5 into this last sector, taking alternate lines there. I'm pretty sure that's an intent to overtake Gauts on the straight. We might see a aggressive overtake coming. Big Manjo now has to overtake Kubarabi if he wants to defend from Gauts, who has to defend from Streeter. We might just see a 4-man attack on the straight here. Gauts gets a poor exit, and that's all the invitation Streeter needs to make the overtake. 4 guys out on track, battling out on the straight. Big Manjo is going for a move. Streeter is going for a move. Big Manjo, can he make the move? No, he thinks better of it and holds off for another corner. Not close enough there.
Yeah, quick to close the door. Kubarabi, which seemed like it existed. I'd like to think if that was left open, Big Manjo would make the lunge or attempt at least to stay wheel to wheel on Kubarabi come sector 1 in its entirety. But right now, Street has lost a tremendous amount of time to Gauts. Still a seconds gap has opened up.
Yeah, and well, quickly within a corner to his back in the DRS range already. So looks like at this moment Kubarabi is doing his teammate a favor by holding up this train. That might just come to fruition towards the end of the race. Every second counts, every split second counts here, and every moment Sicknick gets assistance from his teammate at the back, that might just turn out to be a Haas podium at the end of the race. Which Haas will come on top? Will both Haases make it till the end? We'll find out in 26 laps, but for now, back on the action on track. Started Big Manjo once again. Looks like he's much closer, coming out of the chicane onto the pit straight once again. 4/10, 5/10 the gap, and this might be another attack on the way.
Yeah, this might even Streeter and Gauts are getting closer and closer as it stands, but I think Big Manjo will have to hold back once more. Because into turn 1, he's not close enough to mount a fight onto that Haas. He's saving up ERS tremendously, as you might think, and he is opening that seconds gap to Gauts. So I'd like to think he's going to be a bit more ambitious, a bit more aggressive going into the next lap on the main straight. Gauts' lap, clearly, he's got a solid gap to Streeter, a seconds gap that's opened up, but he's losing time to Big Manjo, so things aren't going his way.
It might be the medium tires are starting to lose the edge compared to the hard tires, as we see the gap between Envy and Levi Tiger Pants was almost 4 seconds of a lap ago and is down to 3.2 within a lap already. So I wonder if tire degradation is coming into play, as we might see in a lap or two.
Street is so close to being within a second and picking up that DRS, but every now and then on that second DRS zone he just misses out on it. Unfortunate for him, but on the main straight he can attempt once again, but this time around Big Man Joe, I'd like to think, is a bit more aggressive, trying to wrap it up on this lap on Cuba Rubby. But the exit didn't seem like it went its way, and he's going to try his best to close in. But no, weaves to the right-hand side of the track to deny slipstream Cuba Rubby. Big Man Joe stays on the left-hand side of the track. Gouts watching carefully, and nothing will change because somehow they're very happy in the positions that they're running in.
Yeah, it's all about that exit, isn't it? Coming out of the last corner, no matter how close you are throughout the rest of the lap, if you get a poor exit, you get the gap to over 5 tenths. It's impossible to overtake around here without any significant advantage. So Big Man Joe seems to be lacking a little bit on that edge to get a better exit. He did a few laps ago, but Cuba Rubby defended successfully down the straight. So it is a bit of a cat and mouse game. Speaking of cat and mouse, up in front, the gap starts to build up once again. 3.5, 3.6 almost the gap between Levi Tiger Pants and Envy.
Yeah, and in this DRS train at the back of the pack, it's still advantage Big Man Joe and even Streeter, both their ERS filled to the brim almost. But Gouts and Cuba Rubby, they are clearly running out. Gouts somehow has half a tank in it still, but Cuba Rubby not looking great out there, with Big Man Joe breathing down his gearbox. 40% in the tank. Who'll get the perfect exit out of last corner?
This might be it, Sarthak. Better exit this time around. 3 tenths gap, DRS wide open. And Big Man Joe, once again, not being bothered to make an overtake. He looks down the inside, possibly to put Cuba Rubby off a little bit. But no, I wonder what Big Man Joe is waiting for this time.
Especially waiting. I mean, now it's perfect conditions for him. Over a second's gap on Gouts. So Gouts doesn't even have the benefit of DRS, and I think that was because of a nasty exit out the final corner. So he's vulnerable for position from Streeter as well. So right now Big Man Joe is poised to pick off that P4 on lap number 11.
Yeah, but every corner, every lap that he wastes not overtaking, he's just inviting Gouts and Streeter back into the DRS train and possibly losing himself, you know, some race time come the end of the race, because, well, if he gets past Cuba Rubby, chances are he will catch up to Signic for that P3 on these hard tires right now.
Yeah, he's clearly getting held up by Cuba Rubby at this point. A 10th down on his lap time, and up ahead, that 3-second lap time, 3 seconds gap between Envy and Levi Tiger Pants has trickled down to 2.5 seconds. So he's catching up in his own right. The Aston Martin driver out the final leg corner. Who's going to get the better exit? By the looks of it, Cuba Rubby gets it spot on to ensure perhaps position come turn 1. And yes, I don't think Big Man is going to be able to make that pass despite having enough ERS. It's Cuba Rubby holding on to that P4 lap after lap after lap.
Yeah, like I said, it's just costing Big Man Joe a lot of time. 1, the exit, and 2, the intent to overtake. It doesn't seem to be right there right now, because well, every second that he's wasting, his gap to Signic is opening up. Cuba Rubby is just glad that he's holding up his rivals here, and Signic, well, not much of a gap pulled between him and Cuba Rubby, so that's a bit of a fumble there, as I see on the back. That's Streeter.
Yeah, Israel kicked out quite a bit. He was quick to catch it though, but it'll cost him a couple tenths in lap time. But still within a second, so he'll have the benefit of DRS, or perhaps not on this. Oh, just made it in, I think, somehow, by the looks of it. But Gouts has gotten incredibly close to Big Man Joe by the looks of it within half a second now.
Yeah, Gouts could force the issue here. He could force force himself to overtake Big Man Joe, which in turn will force Big Man Joe to defend and possibly launch an attack on Cuba Rubby. Will these two, go for Envy in the meantime, showing that the hard tires are coming into their own pace here. Sets the fastest lap of the race. Big Man Joe, I don't know, for the nth time in this race, lap number 12, He's going for it this time around. Battery is being deployed into turn 1. Down the inside, he's already ahead and gets into turn 1 safely to take that P4 away from Kuberabi. Next up for him is Siknik, 3.5 seconds. How can these hard tires hold up? Oh, Siknik! No, that's not Siknik, that's Kuberabi.
Kuberabi. My oh my, after holding up the entire pack for so long, he sends himself into a spin out of in the middle of sector 1, and somehow Gouts managed to make it past Kuberabi without a incident, and Streeter does too. So Big Man Joe now in P4 leading this DRS train.
Will he want to lead for any longer? Looks like he is pulling the gap, trying to pull the gap now into the middle sector here. Gouts doing his best to stay within a second. Streeter as well, pushing hard to stay within a second. Big Man Joe might just pull off the 1 second gap here. Up in front, let's quickly check in on our race leaders. Levi Tiger Pants goes on for another lap on those medium tires, so extending his stint, still with 75% battery left, a good amount to go for a long stint on the hard tires. Envy not fighting himself too hard, just letting the strategy come into play, still in P2.
Yeah, they're waiting and hoping for a fumble from one of the drivers. And a safety car is highly unlikely by the looks of it now that I see it. And that DRS train is disappearing as we speak. Gouts' gap to Big Man Joe is opening up to beyond the second. 1.3 in fact. And Streeter is clearly trying his best to stay within the second of Gouts, but somehow ends up edging closer to a second's mark. So now is when things get a bit more stagnant. But Kuberabi is the first one heading into the pits.
Yeah, I reckon after that spin, you don't want to be on those, well, shredded medium tires like Swiss cheese anymore. And onto the hards he will go, which will take a good lap or so to fire up around here. He's lucky that this is Spain, so you'll get a lot of high-speed corners to warm those tires up right out of the pits. So 3.5 seconds is gap, 4 seconds the gap to Honing, and we'll monitor that as the lap goes by. This might prompt Siknik to make a move into the pits anytime soon. No, he's I was watching Levi, my bad. Levi's still staying out. What about Siknik? He continues for another lap.
And he stays out rightfully so as well. Big Man Joe stays out as well rightfully so. On the hards, they've got many more laps to go through on the same set of tires. I'm surprised how Gouts couldn't keep it within a second of Big Man Joe. I think fumbles around the final corner. Out of that 4 drivers on the DRS train, it was Gouts who time and time again fumbled on the exit, and it clearly has cost him.
Yeah, and the closest guy in the DRS train right now, well, who was at the back of the DRS train was Streeter. Still finds himself within a second, barely within a second, coming out of the last corner, but hanging on just about in the middle sector here. Gets much closer to Gouts in the middle sector here. Gouts might be finding some time in the last sector, which is keeping him relatively safe on the pit straight. 5 tenths the gap between Streeter and Gouts. Will be this the lap? Streeter want to go for it. Can he get a good sector 3 to begin with?
Yeah, I'm surprised Streeter staying behind Gouts for so long now. You'd expect him to make the pass probably a few laps ago itself. He's got a purple sector 2, as you said. I think he's got all it takes to make that pass on the main straight, but it all comes down to that final corner we saw between Kuberabi and Big Man Joe time and time again. Every time a fumble on the final corner, it means a fumble on the main straight, and I think Streeter had it pretty earlier on, opening up that gap to over a second even before the final corner in the penultimate corner, and a chance for making a move is nowhere inside. Siknik heads into the pits.
Yeah, Streeter fumbled the exit out of the chicane, and crucially for him, he does not get DRS anymore because, well, if you look at that, the detection zone is right on the exit of that chicane, and that fumble might have just cost him DRS and possibly a chance to re-overtake Gouts. Siknik, as mentioned, in the pit lane, out on fresh hard tires. Kuberabi is not doing too well on the fresh hards. He's just taking his time. Still 5 tenths off his personal best, so it's taking a little bit of time for these hard tires to come into their own. Up in front, I'm still surprised Envy has not closed up to Levi Tiger Pants just yet.
Yeah, it stayed in the 2.7 seconds range, that gap. for a while now. We did see it come down to 2.5 seconds or so early on, but somehow Levi Tiger Pants on those mediums, he's gotten into his groove, and on lap number 15, the halfway mark or so of this race, Levi's still leading this race, but finally heads into the pits.
Yeah,
So
no longer leading the race. Envy now has to pull off the overcut and make sure once he's onto the mediums, he gets a good stint. He's into the pits. Big Man Joe will inherit that P2. Still trying his best to, maybe he's going for the overcut as well. Big Man Joe over here. And I'm guessing his battle is with Signic today. Gouts, not close enough. Streeter finally finds himself within DRS range once again. So it's not over just yet for Streeter. Might be finding a little bit of a second win in the tires halfway into this race.
within a second though, Streeter of Gouts, and just maybe lap number 17 is the lap where Streeter makes the pass on Gouts. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out soon enough. But yeah, Envy leading this race. Traditions, as always, in BRL. In Season 6, Envy possibly has led a lap at least in every race of BRL, hasn't he? In this season, of course.
Of course, yes, this season, Sarthak, that's a statement from the Aston Martin driver himself. Commendable job he has done so far, and he has to keep it up for a few more laps here on these hard tires to pull off this overcut successfully. 2.5 seconds was the gap between him and Levi Tiger Pants earlier. So, really pushing the lap times here. Sets the fastest lap, 20.9. So he is pushing now. He knows this is the crunch time to get the best out of these hard tires before he goes on to the faster compound. Speaking of Levi, now he finds himself coming out of the pits in P5, 5 seconds behind Big Man Joe, behind Streeter, Streeter, who's in not a train but a queue of cars that is led by Big Man Joe himself. So maybe a few more laps when Levi starts to catch up to the pack. Big Man Joe might want to make the jump into the pits. Won't be far. 2 or 3 laps more, I guess.
Yeah, Streeter just couldn't find, this pace he needs to make this pass on Gouts. Gouts is doing an incredible job holding his position. Now he's in P3 as well, as you'd want to finish on a podium on a day like this with just 8 drivers out on track. Kuberabi on the hards is having a disastrous time. He's been in that 4 seconds gap to Horning for a while now. Signig, however, arguably the same. So these medium runners don't seem too comfy out on those fresh hard tires, but I think they're getting into the groove. I saw that trickle down down 4 seconds or so, below 4 seconds or so between Kuberabi and Horning now. So maybe after 4 or 5 laps, the hard tires really get into the groove.
Yeah, like we saw at the start of the race, it took them about 3 to 4 laps before the tires finally get into the range. And what's happening there with the McLaren of Gouts? He was in such a good position, fumbles the exit out of the last chicane, and down to P5 he goes. Levi Tiger Pants will say thank you very much, gets a fastest lap of the race, and up into P4, sets the pace, sets the board on fire here, and that might just send signals to Envy to get ready for a pit stop and possibly mount a challenge towards the end of the race. Levi Tiger Pants not giving up just yet.
A couple laps earlier compared to Kuberabi, but he's gotten into groove with his 2-lap old hard tires, Levi Tiger Pants, and he's closing in on Streeter. That 4 second gap is now down to 3 seconds almost, and soon enough Streeter will have an Alfa Romeo not just ahead of him but as well as behind.
Yeah, I'd reckon Big Man Joe is waiting for his teammate to catch up before he makes a pit stop, but these hard tires could theoretically last the entire race or 3/4 of a race. Big Man Joe might be seeing himself a little bit more of on-track action before he goes into the pits. Levi really pushing it here in this last sector.
Yeah, now the gaps is solidly in. If you think about it, over 2.5 seconds all around, if not greater.
Streeter hits into the pits.
Streeter pitting.
Yep, just in time. So 2 and 3 for Alfa Romeo. Levi Tiger Pants sets a second consecutive fastest lap of the race, and that just shows you the hard tires are coming into pace already. The question is, how long can he keep this going? Envy, in the meantime, he is pushing. There's still pace in those old hard tires, matching his personal best in Sector 1. So it's not too bad, but the question is how much faster can he go once he's out on those medium tires. Mediums and hards around here, well, they might just seem to be equally quick. It's just a matter of durability and the pace that you can extract out of it. Envy now leads the race by almost 14 seconds to Big Man Joe, who's in P2, and Levi Tiger Pence 5 seconds within his teammate already.
The first one to pit out of the hard run on Street 2. I'm sure the rest of the grid will be closely looking at how long he takes to heat up those tires before getting into race pace again. He's got sickening about 5.5, just under 5.5 seconds, but it seems like he's closing in already. A 10th.
Yeah, this might just force the cards to be played by Big Man J, because if you remember just a few laps earlier, Streeter was in a DRS train with Gouts and Big Man Joe, fighting for P3, who were also fighting Sicknick, so they might just bunch up at the end. Gouts responds to that undercut attempt from Streeter. Well, I wouldn't really call Gouts responding because he was having a little spin on the track much earlier. Streeter now comes across the line. He looks like still within 5 seconds of the car ahead. Takes a lap or two. Good solid lap or two to fire up these tires here.
Yeah, and of course Streeter will pass Gouts on the main straight even before Gouts gets to come around track. He's trying his best to deploy ERS out the pit exit and will come out on fresh lap of mediums behind Streeter, who was earlier on, before that unfortunate spin Gouts had, behind Gouts.
Yeah, and that puts Streeter up into net P5 for now, which is, well, I'll say 2 positions better from where he expected or where he started. So 4.5 seconds now. The gap has come down about half a second in this lap alone to Sicknick. So the battle for P4 and P3 and P2, it is getting ever so closer. Envy, our race leader from a few laps ago, now finally hits into the pits. Levi Tiger Pants is coming around the last corner. Big Man Joe will inherit the lead for the first time in this race and make it an Alfa Romeo 1-2 over Lee.
We'll find out.
And he makes it. Fresh set of mediums for Envy, and look at that gap coming out of the pit lane. Envy within a 1.5 seconds only, but it's gonna take a lap or two for those tires to warm up, and Big Man Joe, he might want to jump into the pits as well. Levi Tiger Pants is gearing up for an attack from Envy once those medium tires are fired up. Well, it is taking a bit of time for Envy to fire up those tires. Levi is already pulling out the gap 2 seconds. I'm guessing it's going to be up to 3 or 4 seconds by the end of this and next lap, and then the battle ensues for P1.
Yeah, just 12 laps left in this race. 20 laps on the hards. Horning, he's trying his best to go the distance, and so is Big Man Joe. 20 laps on the hards, leads this race ahead of his teammate Levi Tiger Pants. And yeah, soon enough, I'm sure he'll be heading into the pits. But what is the play from the Alfa Romeo pair right now? I'd imagine Big Man Joe comes back into the field ahead of Sicknick in case he pits now.
I'd love to see Big Man Joe stay out for a little bit longer, just hold up Envy, play the team game from Levi, who really would love to get a race win under his belt, his first win of the season. I could see that coming, maybe in a lap or two, as Big Man Joe is finally starting to lose a bit of edge on those old hard tires. Levi catching up, Envy firing up those medium tires, already catching up to the pair.
Yeah, about 11 laps left, folks. 11 laps. So on lap number 22, 33 laps of racing is what we were in store for out in Spain. And as it stands, Sicknick's actually losing time to Envy. Of course, the difference in tire compounds count for so much more, but somehow Streeter doesn't seem to be closing in on the gap either.
Well, I beg to differ. The gap has gone down from 5 seconds a few laps ago, and it is going down real quick. 3.2, 3.1 now, and Streeter is slowly but surely making a bit of gain on Sicknick, but not quick enough. I'd expect to be at least half a second or more per lap. It's a bit slow of progress from Streeter right there. 3 seconds though, not too far off. 1 track limit warning.
There we go.
And that might just be the issue. Big Man Joe, there you go.
Yeah, he heads into the pits after 21 or about 22. Yeah, 22 laps on the hard tires. Fastest lap coming from Envy, who's charging on Levi as we speak on those mediums. Fresh set of mediums on the other Alfa Romeo and will come out, I presume.
Oh, this might be close between him
Oh,
and
yeah, it can be
Sicknick.
close.
Sicknick, who was on those hard tires, fires those up and
Ooh.
comes to take P3 away from Big Man Joe momentarily. Streeter is right there, just right there, 2 seconds behind Big Man Joe, and this undercut attempt from Streeter might just net him P4 in coming corners here. He's closing up the gap, and he might just be within a second on the exit of the last corner today.
Yeah, I'm still surprised how Kuberabi's not been able to make that pass on Horning just yet. He's struggling to close that gap on Horning ever since that pit stop, and he's still struggling. You can see him. The lines he's taking around. Oh, my apologies. That was Levi struggling for a moment around into the entry of Sector 3. But yeah, that gap is solid between Levi and Envy for 1.2 seconds for now.
Just for now, and on the exit, and we looked a little bit closer there, but still keeps it within 1.2. I reckon he want to get within DRS as soon as he could. And one man who is already in DRS range is Streeter on Big Man Joe. Now, Big Man Joe, has he gotten his tires into temperature range already? Are they working? Looks like they might just be. Streeter, if he wants to go for an overtake, this might be his one and only chance before Big Man Joe gets away, and he is not pushing for the overtake.
Interesting, he could have, and I'm pretty sure Big Man Joe would have done the same and deployed ERS though. But as it stands, it seems like Sicknick's the one who might just get picked off soon enough by a hungry Alfa Romeo and Alpine. Gouts, however, 5 seconds the gap to the Alpine driver up in front, so he's probably not going anywhere, is he?
He might just find himself within range in a lap or two, because look at this. Big Man Joe is now starting to finally close that gap almost within a second of Sicknick. And if Sicknick starts to play Kuberabi from the first stint, this might turn into a 4-man train, but this time Sicknick will be leading the train. Speaking of trains, well, the leaders up in front are having their own trainee battle. Oh, and B has a little fumble on the exit, found himself within 6 tenths, now losing 2 more tenths on that exit. But DRS alone is giving him an opportunity on the straight. Looks like Envy might be the faster one on the straights today.
Yeah, surely enough, Levi Tiger Pants on those hards in the last 2 laps has struggled so much more than he seemed like how he was.
Oh, here comes Big
on
Man
the
Joe and
mediums.
Sicknick started on the pit straight. Sicknick had a poor exit. Big Man Joe, now this time, will he want to go for a move? He's a bit more ambitious. Almost a carbon copy move on Kuberabi from a few laps ago. Takes the inside line into turn 1. And voila, P3 is his for the taking. Can he pull a gap now to Sicknick while Streeter is trying to catch up? Streeter, I wouldn't say that is catching up. He fumbled the exit once again.
The more he reduces something like that, the more beneficial it'll be on his hunt for P4. Right now, Envy within half a second or so, just over half a second, to Levi Tiger Pants on Main Street. It was the Alfa Romeo that made the pass on the Haas earlier on. This time around, will the Alfa Romeo get past?
Oh, this is interesting. Can Envy get a better exit this time around? Looks like he's much closer from the past 2 laps. Onto the pit straight, 4 tenths the gap. DRS wide open, not attacking just yet. Levi Tiger Pants weaving to break the slipstream, now has to defend the inside line. Oh, that's a little bit of a late move there by Levi Tiger Pants to defend his position. Nevertheless, Envy keeps his cool and possibly saw that coming from a mile back.
Yeah, but for a second it seemed like Envy was ready to take it around the outside. He had hit his ERS real quick and quickly turned it off as well, as Levi closed that door real quick come turn 1. So right now, as it seems, Levi clearly left hanging up in front to defend himself off of that Aston Martin car, and it's not looking good for the Alfa Romeo driver.
Yeah, this next 2 or 3 laps might be crucial for Levi Tiger Pants. If he can defend, he might just have those hard tires work in his favor come the closing stages, maybe the final 3 or 4 laps. But right now looks like Envy has the advantage, especially through sector 3 where these medium tires will be quicker than the rest of the compounds. Now into the final chicane once again. Ooh, this time almost similar gap. I reckon Envy knows that this overtake is coming. And will Levi Tiger Pants defend? Envy this time around deploys battery much sooner and gets into the slipstream. He's gaining and he is much quicker this time around. Goes on the inside into turn 1, easy as you like it. Envy takes P1 on track, on space, on strategy alone, and finally he's up into the race lead. Levi Tiger Pants, now all he has to do is skip within the 1 second gap and possibly re-challenge towards the end of the race.
Yeah, I thought Envy will send a dummy around the outside and send it down the inside instead. You know, much like Sebastian Vettel did back in the day. But right now, he made the pass regardless. A very clean pass as we've seen on more than one occasion on the main straight from an Alfa Romeo, this time from an Aston Martin. So Envy leads this race ahead of Levi, ahead of Big Man Joe, Sicknick, Streeter, Gauds Horning, and Cube Rabi. It's lovely to see none of these drivers having retired in this race, and hopefully till the very end.
Yeah, Levi seems to have a good amount of pace in the middle and last sector here. He's keeping within touch of Envy. I wonder if that is, you know, due to a high downforce setup, and Envy possibly running some lower aero here, which is helping him to make the overtakes but not really pull the gap that he needs. Levi still pushing hard to get the gap out, and he's almost in overtaking range already. Oh, he's going for it. He's going for it, and no, backs out just at the last moment there. Oh, Levi, that was a scare and a half for us, but that might just be the trailer for what's to come in the next 5 laps.
Yeah, I mean, that was ambitious of him moving to the right-hand side of the track. I reckon Envy deployed a bit of ERS at the tail end of the main straight to ensure he kept that position. It did seem like it. Levi, however, short for DRS, about 20% left in the tank. Advantage Envy on that front. And Big Man Joe's gap to Levi is not closing in at all, despite being on better tires. 21 seconds gap earlier, it was 19. But we finally see Horning after 26 laps on the hards, head into the pits.
For a set of softs, I wonder. Right for the red car, and there you go. Fastest lap attempt might be coming in from Horning here, maybe to steal a lap for the championship for the Ferraris. And he's still safely down in P8. Might just get lapped here by the competing rivals, competing race leaders here, Envy and Levi Tiger Pants. Once again, Levi keeping himself within touching distance of Envy, and Envy is now the one who's forced to defend. Whips to the right to break the slipstream. Levi Tiger Pants already running low on battery. Now he jinks to the inside and outside. Now finally takes the inside once again. And oh, gets on the curb. Or was that some contact that sent him onto a spin? Looks like it might have been one of it. Oh no, Levi. That was his moment to lose, and he lost it just right there.
So unfortunate to see that unravel. I think there was a bit of space on Envy's left-hand side, but clearly it was his corner to take. That was a late lunge by Levi Tiger Pants, and if only we could have seen a good wheel-to-wheel bunch of racing seconds, you could say, through Sector 1 would have been fantastic. Right now, Streeter's the other driver within half a second of a competitor, Sick Nick, sitting there, fresh for the picking. 10 laps on the mediums, no problem for Streeter. He was half a second down on Sicknick a while ago. Now he's 3/10. And as I say that, he's gone into the wall. And that is a retirement. Oh my God. History repeats itself for God knows how many times for Streeter.
A full safety car, that yellow dot on the track. Oh, that's what you want to see as a driver. Levi will be so happy to see that. Unfortunate for Envy. He's staying out. He is staying out, Sartak. Has he missed the pits, or has he decided not to pit? Levi Tiger Pants. He senses an opportunity to win the race. He's going to take it into the pits. He will go. Soft tires will be coming for him. Big Man Joe might follow suit. This might just turn out to be a dream of a day for the Alfa Romeos here.
I cannot believe Streeter yet again at the last 5 laps or so ends up retiring. It's happened at least 3 races this season, Darren. How does that happen to the same driver in the same season thrice?
Oh boy, I can't wonder how that's gonna happen race after race. I can't even put it down to luck. Perhaps just I don't know, something of a higher power stopping him from showing his pace out on track today. But some higher power might have been coming and talking to Sikriek, who has decided to stay out on those all hard tires. He wants track position over anything else in this race.
But I'd imagine he comes into the pits the next lap at least. I mean, that's clearly not the wisest of moves to make.
Oh no,
I'd
Sarthak.
imagine, yeah.
I have to cut you off there. Look at where Envy is. He's already caught up to the safety car, which means no more time for him to pit. And he has a hungry Levi on his rears with soft tires, fresh soft tires, and Envy is vulnerable.
And of course, the game is built in a way that we get at least 2 laps of racing at the very end. So drivers have about a lap left to decide. So they have one opportunity to decide whether they want to go into the pits, lose track position, which would be disastrous for some or beneficial for the others. But right now, Levi, look at him go. Look at him. He knows what's in store. He just needs to ensure the last 2 laps are spot on and they go his way.
Yeah, and well, for a moment there, I thought Siknik was gonna box and take those fresh soft tires. He had the gap to Big Man Joe, who has been driving a little bit slowly, or is he just following Delta on track? Gouts suddenly finds himself at the back of Big Man Joe thanks to this safety car, and it might all kick off in the last 2 laps. This is lap 31 out of 33, which means safety car will be in this lap regardless of the gaps out on track. And we will have a fight for the race win. It looks like it is Levi Tiger Pants for taking. It is his race win to lose here. Envy, can he hold on?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'd imagine. I just want to bring up Big Man Joe. He's probably full race pace right now, trying his best to close that gap ahead of Sector 3. And you can see Gouts is just as eager as anyone would be, staying within 3/10, and seems like the pair have caught up to the rest of the pack up in front.
Yeah, 7 drivers left here. A few more corners before the safety car goes in. 5 of them on fresh soft tires out of the pits. Horning, who was on 3-lap old soft tires due to that late pit stop. Envy keeping track position out on 10-lap old soft tires. Siknik keeping track position as well. Prefers those 16-lap old hard tires here in P3. And he has a bunch of soft drivers right behind him. This is going to be a couple of cracking laps coming up, folks. Don't go anywhere. It's about to get spicy towards the end of this race in Bwoah Racing League Spanish GP. Safety cars in.
8 drivers, 20 drivers, 15 drivers, 10 drivers. Let it be a less populated grid. Let it be a full packed grid. There's always action in the Bwoah Racing League. And as it stands, Envy leads this race. He is dictating the pace and will dictate the pace around the final corner. He's got 10-lap-old mediums and Levi with a fresh set of soft breathing down his who sends it into a spin out the final corner and loses all the positions he could to fall down to P7.
No, Levi, no. But here comes Big Man Joe, his teammate on Siknik down the inside. This must be a dive. No, Big Man Joe stays behind for that corner. This would have been a great chance for Big Benjo to get into P2 and then challenge for P1. Now he's forced himself to do a harder job here into the end of Sector 1. He's still hounding Siknik. Might be a jump, might be a dive into Turn 5. He's going for it. He's going for it. No, he backs off on the last moment. Siknik gets a wide exit here. Not enough for Big Benjo to make a lunge just yet.
Oh, Siknik might be looking at his rearview mirrors with his life in his hands in some sense. Gouts is patiently watching right behind, Horning as well within a second. Kubarabi steaming towards that Ferrari as well. Big Man Joe is desperate and eager to make this pass on the Haas and close in on Envy. What could have been for Levi Tiger Pants is clearly not, but could be for Big Man Joe.
Yeah, it could have been even a race-winning attack for Big Man Joe. He's already alongside into the final chicane. No, Signic just holds the inside for a little longer. Gouts now suddenly finds himself in a position to challenge for that P2. It is all kicking off in this final lap of the race. Signic now has to hold on for his dear life for that P2 that he has been yearning for. Races here. Big Man Joe has nothing left to attack.
He's saving up just a bit. I think he's satisfied with the end result, which he knows will be a P2. He saved up a bit of battery to make that fight count come the next DRS zone. Signic all out of it. Gouts close enough, but has enough equivalent to Big Man Joe. And Horning within a second as well. Kuberabi within a second to counter. But
oh, he goes for it! He goes for it! Big Man Joe dives down the inside of turn 5. Signic is forced to defend around the outside now into 7 and 8. And somehow keeps that position. Signic gets a little bit wide on the exit. And Big Man Joe goes through. Gouts trying his luck around the outside of turn 9 on the exit. Now can he get up to P3? Signic, how much more have you got to defend? Takes the inside line. Gouts! Beautiful little move there. What a move for P3. And now Horning finds himself fighting for that P4. Signic in his final few corners might just be losing it. But across the line, 2 corners to go. Last corner across the straight. Envy, for the nth time in Bwoah Racing League, wins the Spanish Grand Prix. What a race. Big Man Joe comes home for P2. Gouts takes home that P3. Signic holds on for a P4. What a brilliant and valiant effort there from Signic. Horning, after all that luck, all the poor race starts, finally gets himself in a P5. Like you said, P5, top 5. He's finally done it once again. Kuberabi, P6. Levi Tiger Pants. My oh my.
You can't make this up, man. You can't make this up. Who would have thought it would have gone that way? It was poised to be Levi up in front, but somehow, it was this man, Big Man Joe, driver of the day, who ended up being the lead Alfa Romeo. But at the end of it all, it's still Envy on the top step of the podium.
Lucky, some might say, for staying out on those medium tires, but Levi Tiger Pants played a part in Envy's luck today. And, you know, for anyone's guess, you know, this might have gone either way. It could have been Big Man Joe possibly challenging for the win if he had got the move on Signic into lap 32, turn 1 itself. He might have put himself in the hunt for a race win this season. Sadly for him, P2 is the best he could do. But I think the other hand of that Alfa Romeo garage will be happy to see a driver on the podium. Well done to this driver's day.
Yeah, drama despite having just 8 drivers out on track. Unfortunate for Straight. I have to feel for him, man. Multiple races now. Come the last couple of laps, he ends up retiring. Hopefully we get to see him back and possibly on the podium as well in the races to come. Congratulations to Envy as always. P1 out on track, fair and square. And of course, my prediction, when Gouts asked me earlier, right before the race, what it could be, who will be on the podium apart from Envy, I did say Big Man Joe and Gouts, and it went its way.
Lottery like might be the time for you to just buy a lottery ticket, Sarthak. You might just become a billionaire overnight, and we may not be even needing you in the comms here anymore. Possibly you could retire in peace. But yeah, lottery, luck, and everything else plays into a big part of sim racing. Once again, folks, thank you for tuning in for the Bwoah Racing League Spanish GP. Next 2 weekends, I will leave you with Sarthak as I'm going to go into the woods to touch grass for real. Literally touching grass. A short holiday to refresh the mind, you know, to get out of all that hectic city life. I'll leave you with Sarthak for that weekends. And thank you, Sarthak, for tuning in with me for the entire year. It's been a pleasure. See you next year. See you guys next year as well.
Absolutely. Cheers, folks. We'll see you again next weekend for a race.